Welcome everyone to Coaching the Session. My name is Michael Rearden, and I'll be your mindset coach this evening. And today we're going to be talking about procrastination. And procrastination is probably one of the most asked questions that I get asked as a mindset coach. How do we stop procrastination? And look no more, because today we're going to be talking about all the reasons why we procrastinate and how to get rid of it. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and to share this video. Now, procrastination is going to be the fear of doing something until the fear of not doing it is greater than the fear of doing it. And I know there's going to be many other coaches who believe that procrastination is not a real thing. They say, well, if you really want it, you're going to go ahead and do it. And they're not wrong. Because if you really wanted to do something, you would get it done, right? But we procrastinate on the things that matter in our future or for our future. Because do we procrastinate getting to work? Maybe a little bit in the morning, but we still make it on time, at least the majority of people. But then there's going to be people who are late. And maybe they're late because they procrastinated waking up. Maybe they procrastinated going to bed so they didn't get enough sleep and they overslept. There can be many reasons why people are not on time. Of course, just because you are late doesn't necessarily mean you're a procrastinator. But we do have habits that are going to make us want to procrastinate. And with the introduction of the smartphone and the internet, it has never been easier to procrastinate. Now, before, we might have to go outside and go somewhere in order for us not to do something, or simply to be bored and look at the ceiling and watch time go by. But now we can scroll endlessly, and there's no stopping us from finding something that's going to bring us joy. So if there's not going to be any type of roadblock in a way from our enjoyment, our entertainment, how is the mind going to understand that it wants to get out of this habit? Because again, the brain is naturally lazy. So if we understand that the brain is naturally lazy, how can we be more proactive in finding a way to not allow procrastination to impede in our daily routine? And there's multiple methods. You can always go to my website and you can go to the blog area, go to the search window, type in procrastination, and you're going to see blog after blog, article after article on procrastination. It's one of the main topics, one of the main concerns people come to me with. They don't want to procrastinate anymore. They want to find a way to be more productive. It can be as easy as reading a blog and just following the steps. I have a blog called Procrastination from Start to Finish, and it gives you step-by-step guide. And this blog was released in 2020, I believe, an older article, but the lessons in it don't change. So there's so much that can be found on revenconcepts.com. We just have to go look for it. Now, of course, we want the easy fix. We want something that's going to be quick. Well, there's going to be some steps we have to follow. And the first thing is going to be understanding our morning routine. Now, if we wake up in the morning and the first thing we do is grab our smartphone, we're setting ourselves up for a day full of procrastination. If we wake up in the morning and we hit the snooze button, we're setting ourselves up for a day of procrastination. So we have to conquer the morning in order to conquer the rest of our day. And it might seem simple. Okay, I'm just going to not hit the snooze button. I'm going to not pick up my phone. And I'm just going to go throughout the day. Now, yes and no. Yes, you conquer the morning, but you don't have any direction. Now, in order for us to not procrastinate, we need to have some direction so our mind knows what it should be doing rather than what it is doing. So we might understand that we have to do a certain project or we have to do a certain task, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to do them right then and there. So we have to get out of the habit of, if we know we have something to do, not to put it off, not to delay it. And that is the $1,000,000 question. How do we not delay action? How can we be purposeful in the majority of our day? And then when can we procrastinate? Because there will be times when you can procrastinate and it's actually going to be a good thing. Now, looking at the first step to not procrastinate is going to be to set yourself up for success at the beginning of the day. And the way we do that is by creating goals. Now, if you are first starting off, how do you get rid of procrastination? Of course, you're going to want to not give yourself too many goals because you don't want to burn yourself out. So you might only give yourself 2, maybe 3 goals for the day, but they have to be substantial goals. They can't just simply be, well, I'm just going to go to work and then I'm going to come home, right? We don't have any room for growth. Yes, we did the most important task, go to work and come home to our family, but where is the growth? And if you're watching this video, if you're following Reven concepts, you're part of the community, you're interested in growth. You're interested in something more in your life. And you are going to find that from reading articles, from watching the videos, you're going to gain a wealth of knowledge and wisdom that you can apply to your life. And this is understanding, all right, what are my goals for the day? And your goals can be something like, when I go to work, I want to make sure I complete all these projects. And maybe those projects are going to make you now a week ahead. So now you have more energy, you have more availability, more free time, but you did the work in the beginning. Now, of course, you might be in a company where you don't necessarily have that luxury to do all your work at once, or you might get a bunch of work and you're not able to finish it within that time span. There's also going to be companies where you start working for them, they see that you're a good worker and they give you more work. Now, we're not looking to be taken advantage of, but we are looking to become more proficient. Now, just because we are efficient in our job doesn't mean we have to be taken advantage of. And that's a whole nother story. So when we're looking at our goals, they can be, well, I want to write a page in my book, be maybe meditating. Maybe you want to start a business, so you wanted to create a website, maybe social media accounts. Whatever you decide, it has to be written down, a goal for the day. But it has to be something you typically want to do on a given day. So if you go to work, you apply yourself to finish everything before the due date so you have some more leisure time, maybe to work on a personal project. You typically want to do that. Another example is that you want to read a book. Maybe you're not familiar with reading too many books in a given period, and you say, I'm going to start reading. And the goal is going to be, I'm going to read 2 chapters tonight when I get home from work. Now, we're not going to procrastinate getting to that book because we understand it's a goal, and we have to understand the goals cannot be forfeited. The goals cannot be ignored. And that's going to take another type of mindset. How do we know when to push ourselves and when to take a break? Because yes, we can easily go to work, 9 to 5, come home and we're exhausted. And we eat dinner and we sit on the sofa and the book is in the other room. Now, there's methods and rules that we must create in order to be more productive in the later evening. And we're going to get into that in just a little bit. But we're going to dive into the second step of procrastination. And that's going to be understanding that there's going to be different types of energy level activities that we have to understand. And this is going to be similar to decision fatigue. We are allotted a certain amount of good choices every single day. Now, of course, some people are going to be more inclined to make better choices, and they can be high energy type of activities, versus someone might not even be able to make that many choices. So if you are starting off, you might not be able to make high energy, high activity type choices in abundance. So that means you're going to have to focus the beginning part of your day on those high energy activities, because eventually you're going to run out of energy and you're going to start to make poor choices. Now, have you ever heard, don't go to the grocery store when you're hungry? It's the same thing when you have high energy and low energy choices. If you do a bunch of low energy choices before doing a high energy choice, then what happens is that you're not going to be as ambitious to get these high energy things done. So you're going to procrastinate and you don't do it because it's going to require a large amount of energy. Now, let's say we have a low energy type activity. We did all of our high energy type activities, and the low energy activity is going to be washing the dishes. Now, you might not want to wash the dishes, but we have to understand that that low energy activity is not going to be worse than you want to write 12 pages for your book, or you want to finish a project or a presentation for work. Those are going to be high energy activities. Low energy activities are, again, going to be on your phone, scrolling through TikTok, YouTube, going on Facebook, playing a game. Those are low energy activities. And they have their place too. We have to understand that. But in the realm of procrastination, we have to understand that low energy activities are going to be drainers rather than things that are going to lift us up most of the time. So things that are going to be distractions, we have to be careful of. That's going to be our smartphones, our tablets. Instead of making phone calls to business clients, we're on our email and we're responding to things that don't matter necessarily. We're wasting our energy and not being proficient. So what needs to happen is that we need to learn how to become more proficient. And there's several ways we can do that. But the best way I have found is to create rules for yourself, to understand between a work day, a buffer day, and a fun day. Now, we might say Monday through Thursday is a typical work day, right? You work your 9 to 5, and after your 9 to 5, you come home, you do whatever you need to do. Now, of course, on work days, there should be limitations, and it's only 4 days out of the week. So 4 days, you are going to call them a work day, meaning you're not going to necessarily go out and do a low energy task like watching TV. Those work days are there for you to understand, I'm going to do work on these days. And that simple change is so powerful because it changes your mindset. And it's going to say, hey, this is a work day. We can't watch TV. We can't be on YouTube. That is not for today. Similar to how you understand you need to go to work, or if you need to go do a task, whether going to the doctor, grocery store, the gym, it doesn't matter. You understand this is the day that I do this. You know, all the people in the gym, do you think they just go random days to the gym? No, they don't. They have days that they allotted to go to the gym. Now, of course, they might go extra. They might have a change in their schedule, but they don't necessarily do it on purpose, saying, well, I'm going to go to the gym this day, but then next week I'm going to go to the gym another day. Now, again, you might do it because of muscles and you don't want your muscles to get used to your workouts. But most people are going to dedicate a certain amount of days to the gym. And it might be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It might be Monday through Friday. For me, it's Monday through Friday. It's a non-negotiable type of thing. Now, of course, if I'm bogged down with meetings, if I'm bogged down with work or just life in general, I have 2 days to make up my workout. And that's going to be Saturday and Sunday. And I rarely have to go into Saturday and Sunday because Saturday and Sunday are both buffer days and can be fun days depending on how I schedule my week. Now, typically, I have 4 work days and 3 buffer days. So that means I'm allowed to work full throttle on 4 days, and then I get 3 days to either choose work or fun. I don't really allow myself a fun day anymore. When I was younger, though, I gave myself 2 fun days a week, and you would call that the weekend. So you would say, on Saturday and Sunday are my fun days. I'm not going to work. I'm just going to relax, do low energy activities, and enjoy my time. Now, on those fun days, you don't necessarily have to worry about procrastination because there's no need and there's no urgency in what you're doing. Now, of course, on your fun days, you might say, I'm giving myself a goal to watch this series, but if you don't finish the series, it's not going to be a detriment to who you're becoming. Now, of course, you might think that you're going to waste more time on your next weekend, but if you're enjoying your time watching this series, then you're not necessarily doing the wrong thing. But if you're procrastinating on doing the right things, then our days are not aligned correctly. And again, one of the easiest things you can do is to schedule your week. Now you know what you need to do. Clients who come to me who are habitual procrastinators, I make them write out their whole entire schedule, 7 days a week on the hour. That means at 12 o'clock, 12 a.m., what are you doing? 1 a.m., what are you doing? All the way until we reach our 24-hour mark. The whole day is allotted for. Now, do you think on that schedule it's going to say play with your smartphone? It could, maybe for fun time. But if it's a work day, it's not going to say that, I guarantee you. It's going to be all the things that you need to do on a work day. So you might have your job in the morning and then in the evening, we're building an empire. Whether you're gaining knowledge by reading books, doing research, or planning, that's all going to happen on a work day and or a buffer day. And what you're going to notice is the more you follow your schedule and the more you don't allow procrastination or low energy activities to get in the way, then you're going to say, I don't really feel like procrastinating anymore. It's just not fun. It's almost like a bad taste in the mouth when you procrastinate because you realize your soul is offended. It's like, what are you doing? You're wasting time. We have things to do. And it takes some time to get there. And one of the best tricks I have learned is called the 5-second rule. We have 5 seconds before our brain goes into shutdown mode, saying, yeah, we don't really want to do that. So if you have to wash the dishes, again, if you give yourself 5 seconds, you're not going to want to do it. Now, of course, you can have someone coerce you to do them, but it's not going to be on your own volition. So that means maybe your mom is saying, hey, wash the dishes. And you're like, no, I don't want to wash the dishes right now. I'll do them later. You're procrastinating washing the dishes. Why? Maybe you just don't like washing the dishes, right? Maybe you're doing something that's more enjoyable at that moment, and washing the dishes are not going to trump that. And that's fine. Understand what you like, what you don't like. But understand that they have to be done. So why not just take action at that moment and be free and be rid of maybe mom coming back in 10 minutes, 15 minutes saying, hey, are you going to wash the dishes? Because that's going to cause stress. That's going to cause anxiety. And we don't necessarily need extra stress and extra anxiety in our life. We have plenty of that. So why do we give ourselves that type of negativity? And the reason is we want to be comfortable. Procrastination is just a method for us to stay in our comfort zone, to stay complacent, to stay comfortable. The brain wants to use as little energy as possible. So when we have a low energy activity like being on our phone, the brain loves that. It doesn't necessarily want to stop. But then guess what happens? We realize we have a paper to write. We realize we have to go to work. We realize that there's a presentation due that we need to get to work on. We realize that we have to write a book. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to get our book deal. Now there's urgency and the brain goes into panic mode. And when the brain goes into panic mode, it sparks more energy, more action. But when there's no urgency, the brain is like, let's take it easy. And that's what procrastination is. The fear of putting off something that you don't necessarily want to do at that moment until the fear of not doing it is greater than the fear of doing it. And that means we put off because the fear of doing it in our mind is greater than the fear of doing it. when we think about it in our mind, procrastination is just being fearful of not doing the task because maybe of the consequence. So we wait until mom comes in and says, hey, I'm going to throw your Xbox or your PlayStation out the window if you don't wash the dishes. Now, boom, spark. All right, I'm doing it right now. The urgency kicks in. And we need to make sure we can create urgency without the distraction. And the best way to do that, again, 5-second rule is a wonderful method you can do. Just count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And before you get to 1, you should already be making movement toward what you're supposed to be doing. So if you're on your phone, for example, you're on your phone, just go 5, 4, 3, 2, the phone's down. 1. Now, if you're on YouTube, the same thing, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the phone is down, and you're starting to take action. You're starting to go to what you're supposed to be doing. And it might be reading a book, and you can have different methods and strategy for getting that done. The best strategy I can give you for if you're trying to do a particular task, like playing an instrument or reading a book, doing something productive, right? Learning a skill, is to make that skill readily available for yourself, because you're going to procrastinate not doing it if it requires some initial work. So for example, I have a guitar on the wall behind me. Now, I might not want to play that guitar because it's in a case. And you might think, well, Mike, the guitar is in a case is not that big of a deal. Well, actually it is, because the fact that it's in a case, it is a barrier for my mind. Now I have to open the case. I have to tune the guitar. It's too much work, right? The brain sees all of that versus I can just go on my phone and just go on YouTube and everything feels good. It's okay. I don't need to learn guitar today. I'll do it tomorrow. Versus if I say in the morning, one of my goals is I'm going to play guitar this evening. I'm going to get it done. I have a higher probability of getting done. If I find myself procrastinating on going to get the guitar or play the guitar, I can set myself up for success by putting the guitar in an area where it's going to be played versus me having to go and open the case and pull it out and tune it. I can get a guitar stand. And the fact that it's right there, I'm going to be more likely to get it done. Now, of course, I can use our 5-second rule too. And I can say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I can get up and I can start moving toward that instrument and start tuning it. And I didn't allow procrastination to get in the way. It's the small steps that matter, not the big steps. Because yes, we have high energy activities, low energy activities, and learning an instrument can be considered a high level energy activity because it's going to require both the mind and the body. It's going to be strenuous. I remember when I was learning instruments and guitar, I would play for hours at a time, but then after I was exhausted, just mentally fatigued because I'm learning a new type of language in a sense. Learning how to play music, read music, similar to learning a language. It's going to require you to use different areas of your mind, and you might want to procrastinate for some time, but you need to hold yourself accountable. You need to make sure you set yourself up for success. And one of the last things you can do to get rid of procrastination is to understand what's work and what's fun. So for me, I enjoy my profession. I enjoy my job. I get to meet with clients. I get to talk to them. I get to help them become better citizens, better husbands and wives, better parents, better students. And I do that through coaching. And I enjoy it. My gift is teaching. And it doesn't matter what I teach. I chose to help people go after more and to teach them to be leaders, to teach them to be more proactive so they can be the people they want to be. Now, it does require them to take action, right? They have to want that change too. And if you want change in your life, if you don't want to procrastinate anymore, of course, then these things are going to work for you. But if you simply just kind of want it, or you're not necessarily inclined to changing who you are, your habits, or your routine, then you're going to have a much more difficult time. So the things that we talked about, you're not necessarily going to want to focus on, because even if I told you that you can separate the work and the fun and have both at once, you're not going to necessarily want to do the work even when you're doing the fun. Because the way we separate the work and the fun is by doing more work than we do for fun in a given day. So for example, if you want to go on your smartphone, you can go on your smartphone. But let's talk about increments of 30 minutes. I'm looking for 25 minutes of work for every 5 minutes you're on your smartphone. That's the bare minimum. Now, of course, you can go less. You can say just 2 minutes on the smartphone, 3 minutes on the smartphone. But the magic ratio number is going to be 25 minutes of work, dedicated work, not just, well, I'm going to write something that's not meaningful for 25 minutes so I can wait until I get my 5 minutes of fun. And you might get antsy and you just want your 5 minutes of fun, but you have to be able to control yourself, which is key. To get rid of procrastination is we have to control our mind, control our body. So in the beginning, when you're starting off, you can set a timer, 25 minutes and then 5 minutes. 25 minutes are going to be dedicated, focused work. And then you get 5 minutes of fun. And I don't care what you do. You want to go on YouTube? Go on YouTube. If you want to look at the ceiling, look at the ceiling, right? That's your rest time. Do what you need to do to feel recharged after those 5 minutes are up. Now, you might think 5 minutes is not enough. I'm not going to be recharged. That's all the brain needs. And you're almost at 100% ready to go again. It's like 88%, something like that. And that's still really good, because if you simply work through with no fun, thinking you're going to binge funge at the end, you're going to not be as productive somewhere along the line in your work. So if you work for 6 hours, let's say, you get 30 minutes of fun. And you might think, well, I'm going to watch a show after I do 6 hours of studying so I can get all my fun at once. But that last 3 hours of you working is not going to be as efficient as if you took a break. So it's important. We need to understand that there has to be break. There has to be some type of separation in our day. But we also have to be ambitious and willing to push ourselves when we need to be pushed. And then going back to our routine, understanding what needs to be done on a given day, and making sure at the beginning of the day we have all our high energy activities and we leave the lower energy activities for later in the day. And then we can use the 5-second rule. We can break up those lower energy activities into smaller steps. We can separate the lower energy activities with work and then fun. But we need to understand that. And then, of course, our schedule, whether it be a work day, a buffer day, or a fun day. And then create rules and restrictions for yourself, but not in the sense that you are becoming unhappy because you set these for yourself. For me, again, Monday through Thursday, there's no television. The TV does not turn on. And that's a household rule. And you might be saying, I don't want to go live in your house. Well, good. Because there's going to be rules that have to be followed on certain days. And that creates structure that allows family to come together. How many families are struggling right now at dinner time to get everyone together? Everyone's on their smartphone. Everyone is so preoccupied that they're forgetting one of the most important things, family. And it all stemmed from procrastination. It all stemmed from having bad habits. And procrastination is just a bad habit that you have to kick in the butt. And you can kick it in the butt by creating a morning routine and then defining your goals for the day. Separating your activities to the high energy activities in the morning, lower energy activities in the evening time or later in the day, and not allowing lower energy activities to get in the way before you complete your high energy activities. Then, of course, we have the ability to make those steps bite-sized. So if you have a high energy activity, we're not looking at, okay, well, we're going to do everything right now. Otherwise, it's not going to be done. We might say we're going to do 20% today of this task. And then you do another high energy level activity. You say, I'm going to do 15% or 10%, right? Whatever you need to do in order to get it done in the allotted time span. You separate it, because if you chunk it, it's going to be either not as good or it's going to not get done until the last minute, which is procrastination. Of course, we have our 5-second rule to not allow our brain to get in the way. Because if we have a choice between doing something like a project, a paper, guess what's going to happen? We're not going to want to do it because we gave ourselves too much time to think about it. And now we're like, well, I would rather just be on my phone and watch some TikToks and some YouTube shorts, or I would rather just watch a new series. It's easy to get there. And it's even easier to get out if you know how to do it. And then understanding what day of the week it is for you. Again, a work day, a buffer day, a fun day. And if it's not a fun day, you shouldn't be on your smartphone for more than 5, maybe at most 10 minutes. And it sounds so absurd that you can't be on your cell phone for more than 10 minutes. Well, that's a low energy activity. You don't need it. And eventually, after building your habits, your routines, you're going to not look at procrastination the same. You're actually going to be offended and repulsed by if you're wasting time. I actually will have my smartphone in my hand. If I'm on it and I'm just looking at my Facebook and I'm replying to people on Instagram, I know I'm supposed to be doing like a high energy activity, like writing a book, getting ready for a show, doing something else besides being on my smartphone. I say out loud, what am I doing? And I turn it off. I put it down, pick up my laptop, turn on the PC, whatever I need to do in order to get the high energy activity done. But I tell myself, what am I doing? And that's a reminder that I was procrastinating and I don't need it. Because you don't need to procrastinate. Procrastination is not something that's essential that you have to have in your life. It's just something that happens because we do not want to do a certain task. And if you're having a hard time with your procrastination, reach out to me, revenconcepts.com. And the way I'm going to word it for you is I'm going to find out what is going to work for you, because everyone is going to be different. And there is a magic formula, a magic ratio that needs to happen for someone to not procrastinate as much or at all. So if you find yourself procrastinating, if you find yourself not doing what you're supposed to be doing, waiting to the last minute, revenconcepts.com. We can get you out of that procrastination into a better decision-making process. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and to share this video or this podcast with anyone that would benefit from it. I will see everyone on Friday, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time for another episode of Coaching in Session. Until then, everyone, take care.